Hello and welcome to Ham Nation episode 513 for February 2nd, 2022. Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks so much for clicking on Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Appreciate you taking some time out of your Wednesday to talk a little bit about ham radio. Let's go right into the host room here and say hi to everybody. Ooh, we got a packed show again. Appreciate everybody coming out. So starting up at the top, we'll say hi to Randy. How you doing, Randy?
I'm tired. I just got home from Quartzfest about 12:30 this afternoon. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, 3 days, 3.5 days on the road to get home. So.
Wow.
Got a few things to talk about. Yeah.
You have a decent little drive in front of you there. So very good. We are going to be talking about Quartzfest, so looking forward to that. Gordo, how you doing?
I am fine. I'm a little exhausted. It's been 5 days since I've been home from Quartzfest, but it really takes it out of us. But what an event. Back to you.
Right on. And Don, how are you doing?
Pretty good. We're fairly warm here, unlike Amanda Nanook of Colorado right there, all bundled up. We're in the 60s, and today's Groundhog Day, so I don't know who saw whose shadow, but not that it matters anyway. Somebody actually reported that Punxsutawney Phil had died, which I was rather surprised by that, and also it was dubious timing because the manager of the car dealership that I work at just bought a new smoker, so I'm thinking, coincidence? I think not.
That was
not with you Southerners.
Right.
Exactly, yeah, we'll eat anything.
My kids, there was a big Groundhog's Day thing at their school today, and they cut out little groundhogs, and all the kids were running around with them. And my son started asking me questions about it, like, is that real? Is that like a real thing? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you think we use groundhogs to track weather?
Exactly.
And he's like, I don't think so. And I'm like, because if they could do that, we'd use groundhogs for everything. We'd have a groundhog-based science measuring system in at least climatology.
You should have movie night and show him the Bill Murray movie, Groundhog Day.
Yes.
I don't know, 5-year-old? Would that be good for a 5-year-old?
Oh, why not?
Yeah,
a little self-destructive, but you learn from those.
It's fine. Sure, exactly. It's a learning experience. Don't do this, son.
That's right. Don't do anything in the montage that he does when he's cracking up. So, Amanda, how are you doing?
I'm freezing, you guys. Oh my gosh. We got 7 inches of snow. It's going to get down to 4 below. I don't even know what the wind chill is going to be. You don't look at that. It's a nightmare. And I think most of the country is with me, minus Don, Gordo, and Josh. You're saying it's like in the 60s. Everyone else is going to be freezing, including Florida. I saw iguanas dropping out of trees and gators season up. So I'm here with you. I'm bundled up for all of us. So
yeah.
Oh, but I was thinking, groundhog czar. Yes. No, anyhow, we got a great show. Let's see. We've got Al Loesch here. He's going to be talking about running his 500th D-Star net for the Western Pennsylvania D-Star net. And also we're going to do a recap of a couple of clubs from Winter Field Day this last week, and hopefully you all had fun as well. I saw some really crazy setups, so I can't wait to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And of course, Josh and I will be paying attention to your questions in chat and bring them to us. Just put the @ sign in front of our names, and we'll be able to see it a little bit better. Right. And we'll be here. So, all right.
And of course, once the live show is done, just watch it again on the replay because it's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, watch it for the rest of the 24 hours, right? Just keep watching it. There you go. Well, let's throw right to Randy, and he'll kick us off talking about Quartzfest, and obviously we'll be talking about Winter Field Day too. So, Randy, off to you.
Okay, well, we had a great time out there. I want you to bring up my first photo there.
All right.
And I think we had around 600 people registered, so it was down a little bit from when we were all there as an official event 2 years ago. But you can see we just find our patch of gravel out here in the desert and set up our camp. Once you go on to the next one. And, basically as far as you can see out in the quartzsite and desert, there are RVs. There's a big RV show going on in town, and it just brings in, thousands of people. So you go on to the next. And here's a shot of the corner of our little area. You can see my trailer there. And I got my 25-foot mass up. I run a wire down to the ICOM tuner. You can see it down on the bottom, that little white box. That's Jerry's and Amy's RV just to the center there, and we're all standing around watching the drone. On to the next.
Is that their mini bikes there, Randy?
That's their mini bikes. Oh, they're all over the place.
They're
right next to the RV. There's somebody else stopped by with a little red one there, and looks like a trail bike. But yeah, they're all over the place with those mini bikes, day and night. Jerry Ellsworth, she brought along a pair of her Tilt 5 glasses, so we got a little bit of a demo. When you look down into that game board there, you see a three-dimensional deep playing field for various games. So they've been really busy trying to get this product out over the last couple of years with the COVID and stuff. And they were able to take some time off because a lot of their counterparts in China are all shut down for the Chinese New Year celebration. Next. I spent a lot of time on FT8. In fact, Thursday night I even worked the FT8 off sprint. It's not a contest, it's a sprint, and I think I placed about 25, but the scoring got screwed up. Amazon Web Services went down, and that's where they host their live scoreboard. Next.
How's the noise floor when you're out there, Randy?
Yes. Noise floor, and it's a great place to check out the your receiver for its dynamic range, whether or not it blocks or not. Somebody will come out of the band and just you won't hear anything and stuff. So it's fun, and let's go on to this. Yeah, they had the Northern California DX Association runs what they call the DX Challenge. So for 3 days, there's 4 categories, I think, for sideband, CW, QRP, and FT8. So I got in there and started playing around with FT8. I got Thailand, I think, on Thursday morning. But I was back on late Thursday night and working some stations. Well, Jerry was right next to me. She was trying to work people. And you look at the bottom red thing there. I got told to go to bed.
Plus 20 dBs.
Go to BE. Didn't have enough room for the D because I was blocking her. So one of the things I mentioned during the opening ceremony, if people are running on FT8, let's all run on the same time sequence. So we're all transmitting the same time and all receiving the same time. But
there you go.
Those things kind of go out the window. So, and I actually won the FT8 challenge. On to the next one. So I worked at Thailand, and I got this helmet which has a fan and a light and a USB battery thing, so you can charge your cell phone, and there's a goodie bag. So there was a microphone in there and gift certificates from DX Engineering and also Alpha and Antennas. So that was nice. Thanks to all those people for supporting the DX Challenge. I'm about ready for a nap. Next. And did we eat good? Amy made 9 pizzas one night. She brought out this pizza oven. It takes about 90 seconds. So she was making all different types. Go on to the next one. And they were just wonderful. She also made cobblers almost every night in her Dutch oven. So we had cherry, apple, blueberry, peach. We picked up some ice cream. So we ate good. We spent every night around the campfire. On to the next one. And you can see we got our bowls there. So we're having our cobbler and having a good time and around the campfire. In fact, on the last night, Mike there just to the left of me and Natalie started playing songs on their guitars, and it was just wonderful. On to the next. And here's Natalie working a little late night DX set up out in front of my trailer there. And let's go on to the next. So this is Natalie. She kind of met up with Ray Novak a little bit before Quartzfest, and he invited her out, and she went and rented a motorhome. She's a newly licensed extra She'd been on VHF, but not on HF. She had bought a new 7300. She bought a super antenna, and so we helped her, get on HF for the first time. Here, I think Mike is helping her making a 20-meter dipole. We had hung up on a pole behind my trailer, and she was just super excited and bubbly, and we had a great time with her. And she posts little bits up on TikTok. So if you go there, she's Glam Ham Radio. So we have a video here of her working Cuba. So we can let Josh run that.
6 Sierra.
Give it again.
November Whiskey 6 Sierra.
So we're helping her.
November again? Go.
November Whiskey 6 Sierra.
One more time.
November Whiskey 6 Sierra. November Whiskey 6 Sierra. He's not hearing, is he?
Hey, you try it again.
November Whiskey 6 Sierra.
55, he's 57. Roger, roger. 57.
Roger, Roger. You're 57 to Quartzfest, Arizona. Cuba!
All right.
Come on! Wow, this is hugely successful. Thanks to everyone around me. That's Randy and Mike and Barry and Dan. This is such a team effort. Thank you all. Time to eat. November.
Okay, you can get back to me here now.
Okay.
So,
That's fantastic, Randy. Good job.
She was just so much fun. Really, brighten up our group of a bunch of old gray hairs there. So we were helping her out every day. She was all over Quartzfest and all different things. She was even in the Hootenanny. She's really a good singer. So here I have my crazy trophy hat on. So
I love this thing.
Here.
Charge your phone, make contacts.
Yeah.
A head cooler too.
Yeah, it's got a fan on.
Solar?
Fan on the front.
Oh my
It's got
gosh.
a solar panel.
Wow, watch
and a
out
light.
for lightning.
Yeah, it's got a beam on the top here. Yeah.
Adorable.
So I got to find a nice place to put that here in the ham shack. So
There's your new Hamfest hat.
yeah. And the fan really works. During the closing ceremony, when they handed those out, it was really quite warm at the start. So I turned it on, and it was keeping my, the solar collector here cool. And then it clouded up and got cold, so I had to shut the thing off. But we had a great time. Looking forward to going back next year. We're already starting to work on plans. So back to you, Josh. It was fun.
Right.
Randy, be sure to send us Natalia's information because we'd love to have her jump on and say hello.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure she would enjoy that.
I bet she would.
And we got a couple of comments on that pizza oven. Did you know the brand of that pizza oven?
I do not, but I can find out. So.
Oh, it's something weird like Omega or something. I just saw them at Ace Hardware. They're amazing. Anyhow, or is it Ohm or Oom?
Yes.
It's something weird. Oom, I think it is.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
They ain't cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, if my wife's watching, she might be all over that. So very good.
Yeah. Oh, you can get it with a propane burner or a wood burner, I guess. So she had the
nice.
Yeah.
I think, it wasn't even pellets. On one of the models comes as a pellet one.
Yeah.
Ooh. So
The
90-second
uni.
pizza, though. Uni,
Yeah.
thank you.
Uni is what people in the chat are saying. So thank you, Brian
Okay.
and RQ.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Gordo, let's hear from you. What was your whole situation like there in Quartzfest?
Well, we had a great time, and let's jump into the videos and take a look at all the fun. Make that still shots Well, it's 25 years that we've been doing Quartzfest. And to get a head start, Ray, N9JA with ICOM America, showed up bright and early, many days before the rest of us did, in that he had to leave a little bit early, but he was there. He left off demo rigs. He left off handheld transceiver prizes. I'll tell you, folks, ICOM America, Ray Novak, really makes things happen for ICOM America. And we really appreciated his support on our 25th anniversary. Well, as you can see, we are on Bureau of Land Management, BLM Land, and the BLM Land Rangers were busy all over the hundreds of square miles of RVers parked anywhere and everywhere. And as long as we were not commercial, which we are not, we're all volunteers, we're good to go, and we can stay on the land for 14 days. And if you had a chance to watch Nomad Land, the movie that came out about 6 months ago, you'll see exactly where we were located. Well, there's Chris and Lynn. Lynn's call sign KJ7DSC and Chris KR1SS. They are the organizers. And if you look behind them, these are the bulletin boards that constantly we're keeping everybody up to date on all the different seminars that would be taking place. And that's a job because some folks came early to present, some came late, and others were surprise shows. And Tracy on the left, WM6T, and Gary on the right were making sure that all of the presenters had a table in front of them. They had a PA system. In fact, when you take a look at a site like this, a little 25-watt PA system, which I used to do years ago at Quartzfest, wouldn't hold a candle. So Gary was able to come up with 3 separate PA systems, some of them having 2 speakers each, that put out hundreds of watts. And believe me, anywhere you were sitting around a campfire or one of the 3 different presentation spots, you could hear it loud and clear. Thanks, Gary, W6KBC. He was always there. He's an amateur television network aficionado. He's in the mesh, and he was making sure that those that didn't want to brave the cool weather, looks like about 70 degrees there, could actually watch on over-the-air cable on their TV sets hooked up to an antenna, not a cable, because there's no cable out there, and actually watch it thanks to the Amateur Television Network and the Mesh Network. Now, here's the Mesh guy, WB9KMO, and that's Rod. But what's most impressive is behind him, the professional screen for the nighttime seminars, and we had a projector with an LED illumination system. We go, I don't know. When they turned on that projector, that screen was blindingly bright with full color. I mean, it was the best. So everybody, including Rod that we see there right now, really appreciated it. You can see those speakers out there. When you're doing an outside event, you really got to have big equipment. There's Gary's modest stepper IR and Tracy's big vertical, couple of units to the right, and they made sure that every morning and every evening signals were heard loud and clear. Well, we had all sorts of different conveyances as to what people towed in or drove in. We had little micro trailers, but when you looked and saw what the hams had inside the micro trailers, it looked like a recording studio. Very impressive. And of course, for those that came as tent campers, and there were many tent campers. We had a big area for them, and they also had 4 porta potties, and we told everybody only the tent campers and the dayers get to use those. Everybody else just stay in your own units with your own gear, and that they did. So we had that one absolutely covered. some folks came with not minor tents, but major tents. This one with air conditioning. This was a neat thing about ham radio. You never know what hams are going to do. And one morning it was 28 degrees. I know, Amanda, you're down to minus 28 maybe, but 28 for some of us. We all wanted to go in there and get toasty, roasty. Well, since there's no electricity, no nothing but the hams and ingenuity, here's a whole bunch of solar to keep everybody on the air. And they had some solar panel walkabouts, and this one probably had the most going for it. I don't know if it was mechanized to follow the sun in altitude, not in azimuth, but nonetheless, I'm sure it put out a lot more current than they were really needing, but that sounds neat. So a lot of fifth wheels out there, and that was nice because that freed up the pickup truck to do some of the off-roading. Well, our unit, a little 23-foot Convan, has the Outbacker antenna. We tried this year on it, and it was fine. And it's very important that for your refrigerator, bring those leveling blocks, because if you try and run your reefer and you're not level, it's going to boil the solution, ammonia solution, that's going to keep things cold. So as we did there, we were perfectly level and we had good comms, and believe it or not, there's enough room in there. In fact, there was a lot of units. Here's a little pop-up camper, and of course they brought out the propane stove and everything, and they had a great time. Well, our special event station was very busy. Whiskey 7 Quebec. And this year we had it housed into the Tom KG7 Decans trailer. And look at that wind key. This was really something. As the wind would slightly blow, sometimes blow relatively non-slightly, the key would go up and down. I don't think it was on the air, but nonetheless, it was amusing. Again, ham radio at the best.
I made a mistake and I jumped too far ahead. Hold on. I got to catch up. I clicked the wrong button. That was my bad.
No problem.
I'm jealous of that tent, though. I wonder how heavy that stove was.
And inside that modest trailer was no modest setup. First of all, you know it means business when they put up a 3-element tri-band beam for 10, 15, and 20. And then they had infeds for 40 and 75. And that would provide antennas for the DX Challenge. And the DX Challenge for both FT8 as well as voice really went over well. Best part was those in the yellow protective vests were there to coach folks on some of the equipment. We had Kenwood, Yaesu, ICOM, all sorts of different radios. Here's an FT8 installation, and here is, of all things, voice, single sideband. In fact, single sideband was way down in numbers when it came to FT8, but nonetheless, Chris is there making it happen and making contacts with the wonderful ICOM equipment. And again, there are some of the coaches that would go in there and get brand new hams on the air. In fact, many hams that had their general license hadn't really sat down in front of a modern transceiver, and there was plenty of ICOM gear. And again, thanks to Ray, N9JA, for all his support of Quartzfest. Although we left a little early by command, he was there much earlier than the rest of us, and we had a great time. Everybody did in seeing Ray. We had testing. Greater Los Angeles area radio group was testing. In fact, the head volunteer exam coordinators of that organization were there. And we also had testing from the W5YI. And there is Tina and Dave Brimmer that were there to officiate. And assisting them was Tracy's team, actually Joe and John, everybody's team, the Mountaintop Amateur Radio Association. And they had a real production line there and tested a whole bunch of brand new hams, as well as those going for tech, general, extra, and I did also some testing for the commercial license as well. Well, there's Maryland, one over from the left, one over to the right from Tracy on the left, And she's raising her hand saying, hey, folks, we got something going on. There are gold in our hills. Well, gold panning. We didn't know if it was going to be a sellout crowd, and it was so big we had to do it in stages. And here is a gold panner from some of the gold that we dredged up locally, as well as a little bit of gold that we snuck into the pans that came from not in this area. But you can imagine the thrill of the gold panners when they looked at the bottom of their pan and they saw that. And that's the real stuff. No, they didn't get to take it home, at least not that we know of. The American Red Cross was there. This is the Arizona chapter. Now, the Arizona chapter had the potential of taking on a new emergency communications vehicle, and they said, no, there's just it's too much, and we just can't. No, we really don't need you folks to do it. So what did they do? The communication hams formed the American Red Cross Radio Club. This is the vehicle that was donated now to the Radio Club. And let me tell you, for going off-road, they were ready. In fact, they said this vehicle was so new that it had never been off-road. So, wow, what a good deal. So the Amateur Radio Club, Frank, KB7IQ, was instrumental in a lot of that. Frank's the one that on, I think it was Wednesday, he took folks all over the back country that had four-wheel drive. Well, here's two-wheel drive. And these are the e-bikes, which we had Alan, W6AKB, do a feature on them. And the seminar drew absolutely standing room only crowds. They talked all about battery life. They talked about power brakes. Wow, power brakes on a bicycle. They talked about tires and everything you wanted to know, safety equipment. There's modeling of a helmet, but they did just a great job. So thanks, Alan, for all that you did there. Well, you know, ham radio is always looking for something, looking for new contacts. So it really worked out well about a year or so ago when I came up with the idea of let's do some metal detecting, maybe plant some hidden metals and see how many would show up. This was the beginning of the metal detecting seminar. You'll see what happened at the end. And the hams came with their metal detecting seminar. And guess what? Just like ham radio, those folks that hadn't used their metal detector for a year or so, if it was a real simple one, they had no problem. We had plenty of spare batteries to get them going. They got them fired up. But those that had the really exotic metal detectors with all sorts of discriminator modes and squelch and volume and location arrows, many had a hard time. So if you have an exotic one, you got to play with it a whole bunch more so you're used to it. And there's Jerry and Amy. And notice that they have a lot of the ICOM swag. They have the ICOM hats. Again, Ray, thank you so much for all the great stuff that you left for the Quartzfesters. And they are holding a bag full of all the treasures that were hidden ahead of time. And one of them may still be out there. It's a Liberty. It's a Mercury dime, several Mercury dimes that I added to the cache. And I don't know if they've been discovered. So if you can find this spot, you'll find some very valuable Liberty, make that Mercury dimes. By the time we got through, the word had spread, and we're on Simplex 14655, that metal detecting was finding stuff. Not finding gold. No, these big metal detectors won't find a little tiny gold flake. Maybe a big chunk of gold, but I don't think there's anywhere we were looking. But nonetheless, you can see Maryland really drew a full crowd. Well, there's Gary and Tracy again, and they had a 1-hour seminar on CW, and it was packed again. So many folks want to know about CW, as well as, if you can see here, they were also talking about portables, good for SOTA and POTA operation. And I've worked with Tracy on this portable one that you see up there, the Helicraft. What a kick to get it on the air, CW. Well, we had walkabouts. One was an antenna walkabout from Neil, K6NCX. The other from Frank, that was a solar walkabout, AF0XX. And the walkabouts were really fascinating because what the presenter would do would have a small little radio. Everybody, because the wind was slightly blowing, a little hard to hear, would monitor on a simplex frequency. So as long as you had your radio up to your ear, you could hear exactly what the presenter was talking about when it came to either solar panels or giant antennas. But watch out, watch out. See that bush, bottom left-hand corner? They're all over the place. They have little tiny needles on the end of them. One night I accidentally brushed a bush like that one, and my hand, and I also got a piece of my bottom of my foot swelled up like a mama. So be very careful when you're out there on the desert. Some of those bushes really bite, and they're painful. Well, no bushes up where this balloon launch was going. These are the PICO launches. Brian, N6, CVO, and team launched, I believe, 4, and we watched them regularly. APRS head to the east and ultimately into the Atlantic and ultimately over Europe. I mean, they went and they went. And everybody had to get up before sunrise, except for one morning, to see the launches. And we'll show some of Chris's video in a couple of weeks showing that launch. But here's the gear. And the gear comes from QRP Labs. This is what it takes to get one of those PICO balloons, a little larger than a party balloon, up to 30 and 40 and 50,000 feet. A little transmitter for APRS. And that was quite fascinating. And live demos, everybody could see it. And also live demos again from Rod, WB9KMO, who both represents the Amateur Television Network, along with Gary and Roland, as well as the Mesh Network. And of course, the Mesh Network right now is reeling because in another month or so, we're going to lose a portion of that particular 3.4 gigahertz band. So he was talking about that as well. Well, no losing for Going Places. Go Play in the Park, a wonderful 1-hour seminar on the parks on the air from Mike, W4OPS, as well as going to the top of a mountain, which Javi, K6TNT, took about 8 to 10 hams on one heck of a hike way up a several thousand foot peak to make contacts for soda. So that's always fun. Again, live stuff. And of course, every near the end hootenanny takes place with Russ, KB6YAF, and Natalie, and all the others. It was a fun one. And this was the little small fire, but the larger fire, Chris and Lynn are at, and that's the way to stay warm. And that fire would go on and on and on. How'd we keep it going? Thanks to the firewood that everybody would bring by. So never to be surprised at night for fires, as well as a sit-down banquet. Who's that all the way on the right-hand side? Looks like Randy. And this was terrific, a full-fledged sit-down steak dinner. Boy, you could smell that steak all over the place. And here's Amy and Jerry doing a toast for 25 years of Quartzfest. Rounding out the final Friday of Quartzfest, last Friday, was Dick Norton, A6AA, our Southwestern Division Director. He's on the left, as well as Rick, W7RAP, Southwestern Section Manager. And Rick, you're going to be seen working the Yuma Ham Fest that I'll be out in a couple of weeks. He was cast iron cooking for several days here at Quartzfest, was also VE, and they were really talking about the recent meeting that Dick Norton just came back from at the American Radio Relay League. And for those that know Dick and know the way he rolls his commentaries, he says it like it is. And he says that at the FCC, we don't have that many hams left, actually at the FCC, replaced by lawyers. And when it comes to a mesh band up at 3.4 gigahertz. Money talks, and unfortunately, talks like billions of dollars for a few hundred megahertz. Ham radio operators, unfortunately, were pushed to one edge of the band. We still have a little bit left, but who knows what happens. So he really said that a big problem is we should probably start making up our own rules when it comes to band planning. And that was one of the discussions at the American Radio Relay League's Board of Directors meeting this past week. So all we can say is thank you for all those of you that attended Quartzfest. And we look forward to seeing you at Quartzfest 26 about a year from now. Thanks, Chris and Lynn. So that's my story, and I'm not sure who I'm going to turn it over to, so I better go back to Amanda and see if she has some nagging questions for me.
Oh, I do. The first was, how did your new antenna setup work? Did you make a lot of contacts on your caravan there?
Okay, on my personal antenna,
Yes.
That was the Outbacker, and of course it's great. It just it loads up fine, and it talks not quite as tall as a natural quarter wave on some of the bands, but it talks great. But that 3-element beam, they worked all over for the Quartzfest special event station. Big
Absolutely.
time.
So that was my next question. How many did you have a tally yet on all of your contacts for W7Q?
I have not heard the tally, but it was hundreds and hundreds. They were just making contacts. They regularly had a team bringing folks in, just walking by the trailer. Hey, come on in here. And they'd sit them down and they
Like
would
a hostage
make contact.
situation?
So they made a ton.
That's fantastic. It really looked like everyone had a fabulous time. It looked like you mostly stayed warm. I still see the heavy jackets, so I question that. But I also saw Chris in sandals and a jacket, so that's livable. I'm that girl. Let's see, what else was there? What did the tent campers do for showers? Did they just have to beg, plead, and bargain to get some showers out of campers, or what? Did you have a setup for them?
We did not have a shower set up for them, other than those maybe in a large motorhome that had excess water they needed to use, and they would let them shower outside. But there were showers in town, and there was a couple of days that folks went into town to take in the huge RV show in the town of Quartzsite, Arizona, and showers were nearby. It was like $5 or $10, and you'd get a good 5 or 10 minute shower. But for the rest of the time, you would just stay upwind from those folks.
Yep. Hand out the deodorant, the spray kind where it doesn't have to touch you. This was a comment. One of my friends on Facebook, him and his wife are hams, not very active. They're just technicians. They're search and rescue folks. They went down there for an ORV kind of fest. So and then they realized that the Quartzfest was happening too. And I think they talked to a few people, and so it ends up that it all says Quartzsite, but camps are really far away from each other. You guys were like 8 miles north and they were 5 miles south, or vice versa. Anyhow, he still managed to check in with you all with his mobile radio on your simplex net that you were holding every day. So he was really thrilled to be able to say hello to you all. He was sad that he didn't get to go up there and visit. So
terrific. Yeah, that was our mode, to let those area hams that had no idea that the hams get together once a year on BLM land. We were 5 miles south of town in the middle of nowhere, and we had a lot of ham visitors stop by, and it was warming to the heart to meet these great folks.
Well, it certainly looked like a full camp. Does anyone else have any questions for Gordo?
I don't. That's on my bucket list. I'm hoping to get out there one of these years.
I always threaten every year to go. I noticed you had you called it the Outbacker, right? And you've mentioned that before. That's not available, right? And I think every time it comes up, people ask, "What's the antenna Gordo's running? What is it?" So can you get those anymore, Gordo?
Nope. The Outbacker came out of Australia, and they are now commercially using them for HF, for overland operations in Australia, not tuned to the ham bands over here. And they found it more profitable to sell them commercially to the long haul folks in that area, not over here to us hams that always are looking for a deal. But I believe their MFJ makes a smaller one, and I imagine it works pretty good. But the original Outbackers, folks, if ever you see one, immediately snap it up because they really also work well.
I believe you can also get a copy of that at DX Engineering. I believe I thought they had one in there. Let me tell you something. My best contact ever was on an Outbacker. In my truck from right here on this property in Picayune, Mississippi. An ICOM 706 Mark II-G, 100 watts.
Nice rig.
On 20 meters, McMurdo Station, Antarctica, on an Outbacker Earth Plus.
Wow.
Yeah, they work.
Hey, I have to point out this cool little thing Josh has got going on. Y'all see this? He got a new chat system. I don't even know where he got it from. Is that like a downloadable app? Whatever.
Yeah, it's
but
an extension.
He can kind of like pick out some of your cool, funny comments. Nothing obscene, obviously. But Gordo, do you see that? If somebody wants to, William, did you blow up a pickle for everybody?
No, we did not blow up the pickle, although we could generate certainly 110 volts. Nope, the pickle is still at rest, and maybe another few more weeks we'll blow it up right here.
Hey, there we go. Your short shot could be a short explosion instead of a...
I love the pickle.
Power is kind of a commodity when you're doing solar and battery camping. So, everything's for lease or rent.
That's right.
Or up for barter. So I'll give you a charge if you give me a drink or a good plate of food. Barbecue works well. I think that was all the questions. I don't think I missed anything. If I did, you guys, Gordo's here all year. He'll answer them later on. So.
Yep, we know where to find them. So you make sure you come back again and bring those questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you got to bring Chris on sometime, Gordo. It should be a blast to have.
Yeah. Thanks to Randy for his help as well.
Oh yeah, Randy had a fun time, and I loved watching him on Twitter. He posted a lot of stuff and some other videos, and showed his telescoping mask that he uses when he is traveling, and just a simple wire antenna. And actually taught me quite a few ideas for our own camping situation. So I like that. Learn a lot. All right. Josh, you want me to just take it from here?
Yeah, sure. And then we can go to ICOM.
Okay. Yep. I have an anxious guest.
Let's go
sitting here very patiently. Al, do you need to gear yourself up? I know you're on a phone, so.
Yeah, go ahead and do what you got to do to kick things off. I think his video went out for a second, so we'll just wait for him to pop back in.
Okay, and if we need to let him take a moment, then we could go to ICOM instead.
Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll run the ICOM and then
I'll work your stuff out. Okay, thank you.
Now is the time to spice up your ham shack with ICOM's new, now shipping, ID52A handheld. This radio is perfect for staying in or venturing out and working your favorite bands this holiday season. ICOM's newest handheld amateur radio is a VHF-UHF dual bander with D-Star and FM dual mode functions. The ID52A is now shipping. This radio supports conventional FM communications and D-Star simplex, repeater, regional, and worldwide calls over the D-Star Internet Gateway. The ID52A is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display and the ability to send photos over D-Star with a connected Android device. Other features include wideband receiver with guaranteed range of 144 to 148 and 440 to 450 MHz, simultaneous receive for VHF-VHF, UHF-UHF, VHF-UHF with dual DV mode. Integrated GPS GLONASS receiver including grid square location, micro SD card slot, micro USB for data transfer, programming, and charge, and it meets IPX7 waterproof specifications. For more information on this and all the great ICOM radios, visit icomamerica.com/amateur. Calling all hams. Don't forget to find ICOM's booth at the 2022 Orlando Hamcation, February 11th through 13th.
All right. And hey, Ray Novak got a big shout out for everything he did at Quartzfest, and I'll give him another big shout out. Thanks to him and ICOM America for sponsoring the Ham Nation here. Really do appreciate it. As always, I like to mention, right, every time we do this episode, you hear me talk about this. The link is in the description. They do a giveaway every time we run an episode. They pick 3 winners, and they get a swag pack of ICOM products. Then those 3 winners, so a total of 6, because we do this episode twice a month, goes into a hat or something like that, an electric hat with a random number generator probably, and they pick a winner for a monthly radio giveaway. And this month it's going to be an ID 5100A, which is a great mobile radio. So if you're interested in that, check out the link in the description to ICOM America, and we can get you in on that. Amanda, are we ready?
I texted Al.
Okay.
And I haven't heard back from him yet. I'm sorry, I was dying. We keep our house 75 degrees. I couldn't wear that hat and scarf anymore. I'm still solidary with everybody in the country, but my God, I was sweating.
So that's a so that was just props. You were wearing a prop outfit. It's not actually
guilty as charged.
I see.
Gordo, I can bring up some more questions. So the metal detecting, I think, is also a big hobby of folks in amateur radio and other places in the world. What are kind of, if anyone's looking to get into metal detecting, like what's the initial cost?
About $100 to $150 for a good quality metal detector. Kellyco, Keleyco, Kelly Company makes a full line of sales of metal detector brands, anywhere from $79 to $500 to $1,000. And the least expensive ones do a marvelous job of finding all the treasures that we buried. So not real expensive.
Okay,
Garrett,
so follow-up question. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
I was going to say, Garrett is another brand. They've got a lot of different detectors that are relatively inexpensive, and they've got the full line as well. Garrett shows up all over the place. They make a lot of products, not just for metal detecting, but for gold prospecting as well.
So, Gordo, what's the most unique thing you've ever found?
Most unique thing about who?
What's the most unique thing you've ever found?
Oh, what I ever found down at the beach, a mercury dime.
Oh,
that's
very
it.
cool.
Okay.
That's a top pocket find.
I really liked Gordo's point on the note of everybody had a metal detector, and the ones that were simple and they beep and you dig, those are the ones that work really well. And then if you've got all the complex discriminations on it, I have 2. I have a White's that has all kinds of different modes, really nice detector. But the one that I always bring with me is my Tesoro Compadre. It runs off of a 9-volt battery, and I think I've found more things with that little beep and dig rig than anything, because I bring it with me camping or wherever we go. I find jewelry in parks and all kinds of stuff. Like I found a 14-karat gold bracelet and all kinds of interesting stuff.
Probably a lot of casings and things, weird things.
When you're way out there, you find lots of shells, and I'm talking about bullet shells, and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, that's another ham radio adjacent hobby, because they're all VHF. What frequency do they run at? I don't remember.
VLF down about 20 kilohertz.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't think about what frequency they were running on. We're going to move on. We're going to let Al catch up. But I did have one other comment. People don't always look to buy those brand new. If you're just looking to get in the hobby, a perfect place to go is the pawn shop. I mean, you're going to pay a little less, but I'll tell you, they'll have a whole wall of them. Mm-hmm. And they will typically only, if you go to a good pawn shop, a good source, they sell it just a little bit cheaper, but they also sell one that works. So you should have some fun with it. I've never done it myself, and we should do that, because when we go target shooting, we lose casings all the time. Anyhow, I digress. Dawn, we're going to send it your way to take us away from this craziness.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do the metal detector thing. You know, we live on 10 acres out here, and I've often wondered what kind of stuff is just a few inches below the surface, and may have to go, especially since when we dug out our pond, we put all the fill right where the house is. So there's probably about 7 or 8 inches of dirt that used to be where the pond is. So no telling what's in there. And I may have to get myself a metal detector. But I'll digress. That's not why you called. Let's go ahead and get into the news of the week from Amateur Radio Newsline, and a little report from Dr. T as well. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2309, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. Our top story this week takes us to the struggling island nation of Tonga, which is still cut off from the world following back-to-back natural disasters. Hams continue to keep a watchful eye.
Efforts have been ongoing to restore communications to Tonga, where an undersea volcano left a vital fibre optic cable broken beneath the ocean, isolating the island nation. According to a BBC report, 2G wireless service has been set up on the archipelago's main island with the help of a satellite dish from the University of the South Pacific. Other than the intermittent service of satellite phones, however, outside contact has been limited as the country struggles with a contaminated water supply and other concerns brought on by a subsequent tsunami. Tonga apparently has no active amateur radio operators, and hams in the immediate Pacific region have reported that the amateur HF bands are presently unusable. Some marine VHF bands are said to be active. Meanwhile, New Zealand's Ministry of Foreign Affairs estimate it will take at least a month, if not more, before the cable can be fixed. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
There'll be big celebrations everywhere in the UK this year for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Hams in the UK who are planning to operate this June in celebration of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee should keep their eyes on the website of the Radio Society of Great Britain. Ofcom has granted permission for call signs to include the special regional secondary locator letter Q, but its use will require a notice of variation. The website, rsgb.org, will carry those details shortly. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II is Britain's longest reigning monarch and thus the first to celebrate a Platinum Jubilee. Special use call signs have been used by hams for previous occasions, including the Queen's Golden Jubilee in 2002 and her Diamond Jubilee in 2012. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Our final story this week is about a changing of the guard of sorts aboard the International Space Station.
After nearly 6 years of loyal service, Ed and Izzy have been told their services are no longer needed. European Space Agency astronaut Matthias Maurer, KI-5KFH DP0ISS, broke the news to them recently aboard the International Space Station, where the two Astro Pi computers have operated for a half-dozen years. The units comprise Raspberry Pi 4 Model B hardware, a 12.3 megapixel camera and a range of sensors. The Astro Pi units are capable of uploading code submissions from two programs, Mission Zero and Mission Space Lab, both of which are used to nurture students' coding skills. The new units have greater capacity than Ed and Izzy and are expected to outperform them dramatically. Now, this changing of the guard should have come as no surprise to Ed and Izzy. The ESA gave a very public preview of their replacements in September of last year, calling the replacements essential, adding that the original batteries were due to expire soon. There was no word as to whether Ed and Izzy would be given a formal farewell or even offered severance pay. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Ed Durant, DD5LP, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT, at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3, we'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
We have an angry sunspot cluster that fires off a big solar flare and a solar storm, and it's headed straight for Earth. Those stories and more in the news this week. Our sun definitely brings on the eye candy this week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, it may not look like all that much, but do you see this region up here? This is region 2936, and as it begins to rotate into the Earth strike zone, it becomes an X-flare player. In fact, on the 29th, wham, right there, do you see that? It fires off an M1 class flare, and along with it, it also launches an Earth-directed solar storm. You can see the blast wave rippling across the disk like that. That solar storm is not super fast, but it is on its way to Earth, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Meanwhile, we also have a coronal hole that has been rotating in through the Earth strike zone, and we're dealing with the waning fast solar wind from that region. But since then, not too much has been going on unless you look at the east limb of the sun. We have a couple regions that are going to be rotating into Earth view here in the next couple days, and they are definitely solar storm players. So that's going to continue to boost that solar flux up even higher into the triple digits than we already are, and that's great news for amateur radio operators and emergency responders. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, as you can see, for this past week, we've actually been having quite a bit of flare activity. In fact, late on the 25th, you can see nearly an M-class flare. That was from region 2935. But as time has gone on, you can watch that background level continue to rise. In fact, right now, we're sitting about the sea floor, and this means good radio propagation on Earth's day side because you can use this as a proxy for solar flux. We're sitting well into the triple digits, and it's going to continue to be that way. In fact, as we get to the late on the 29th, you can see that we popped an M1 class flare. This is a long duration flare, and it's from region 2936, and that was when it launched that big solar storm toward Earth. You can always tell it because the long duration flares are when they launch those big solar storms. And even after that, we're still sitting about the seafloor. So we're going to continue to have decent radio propagation on Earth's day side, at least until region 2936 rotates off of the west limb, which will be in about 4 days or so. But you know what? We have new regions that will be rotating into Earth view from the sun's far side, and that will likely continue to keep that solar flux up into the good range. Switching to our solar storm conditions, as you can see over the past week, we've really been hovering between unsettled conditions and even quiet conditions. And this has been because we've had a couple pockets of fast solar wind from some small coronal holes that have rotated in through the Earth strike zone. But it really hasn't done all that much. In fact, the largest of the two big pockets of fast solar wind that we've been getting has only been passing through the Earth strike zone over the past couple days. As we take a look, about the 28th is when we started hitting active conditions, and that was because we had at least a decent pocket of fast solar wind that did bring us a little bit of aurora. In fact, it kept us at active conditions for over 12 hours, a little bit more than half a day actually, before things began to settle back down. And now we're kind of back to the same thing where it's kind of unsettled to quiet conditions depending, and that's from some, remnant coronal holes that are just kind of giving us a little bit of fast wind, but not too much disturbance. But this is all going to change as soon as that solar storm that's Earth directed hits us, at least by February 2nd. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are anticipating the hit from that big solar storm that is Earth directed. At high latitudes, NOAA is expecting a major storm conditions, really up to about an 85% chance of a major storm right on the 2nd, with things kind of settling down as we move into the weekend. Now, mid latitudes, we also have a good chance for aurora. We have a minor storm conditions that are expected, with even up to about a 30% chance of a major storm. And again, things should be settling down reasonably quickly after that as we move into the weekend. So aurora photographers, if you want to catch some aurora, even down to mid-latitudes, you have a good chance, as you can see, in the midweek once the solar storm hits, but then things should quiet down pretty quickly there afterwards. So the space weather this week is giving us a lot to consider. We do have that Earth-directed solar storm that was launched from that M1 flare from region 2936, and that solar storm is on its way. It should be hitting us around the 2nd. So aurora photographers, you could get some aurora cleared down to mid-latitudes as we move through middle of the week and into the weekend before things begin to settle down. So definitely keep your batteries charged. The nice thing is that we also have a coronal hole that'll be rotating in through the Earth strike zone here in about another week, so that could give us yet another chance for aurora. So you might have some good chances here, and keep your fingers crossed because it could be a great show. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, you guys should be loving life as well, because we now have that solar flux boosted well well into the triple digits, and that means good radio propagation on Earth's day side. Yeah, okay, you have to deal with some noise on the bands, but hey, we are well into solar cycle 25 now, and it looks like we may be staying into triple digits for solar flux, possibly, until solar minimum comes in another 7 years. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that's the case. And now you GPS users, well, it's not such great news for you right now. We've got the solar flux up into the triple digits, which means your GPS reception at low latitudes isn't all that great, even on Earth's night side. And we have radio blackout possibilities because we have a big flare player, an X-flare player on Earth's day side. So that causes problems for you. And of course, we have a solar storm that's coming, and that's going to give you problems on Earth's night side, especially anywhere near Aurora. So, just kind of hang in there. GPS reception will improve. But until then, stay away from Aurora on Earth's night side and stay away from those dawn dust terminators if you want your GPS reception to be top notch. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Excellent stuff from the Newsline, folks, and also from Dr. T. And a good reason to follow her on Twitter. I got a DM from her today. She says, just know that the solar storm has hit, but it's a fizzle. She says that is often good news for hams as solar storm fizzles. A lot of times help propagation. So there you go. Make sure you follow her on Twitter at Tamitha Skov and get the latest up to the second, I think. I don't think the woman sleeps. I really don't, because she's on Twitter
It's true.
all the time. She's always on there, and she's such a great resource. And of course, she is WX6SWW, the Space Weather Woman, so she's one of us, and we certainly appreciate her. So Amanda, back over to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, we do have a great guest here tonight. Let's see if Al's with us. Al.
Oh, we got a Skype. Are you there, Al?
We're here.
Okay,
right.
Your video is not running. Maybe you can just click in the middle of your phone somewhere. And if you see a little video camera that might have a cross through it, just click on that.
Gee. Oh, how about that?
I think something's happening.
That was close.
Well,
you're almost there.
Yep. Did you actually, kinetics are a weird thing. Touch it, try it again. Push that little camera button.
See a little camera button here yet.
Josh?
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
You know what that is, don't you?
I don't see it, but if you want, you can. We've got the
it's
audio.
facing the wrong way.
You've got the audio, so you can just talk. Amanda's fine too.
It's fine, but I really wanted to see his cute cowboy hat. Well, just don't disconnect from us, Al. So, Al is here tonight to talk to us, and by the way, it's Al Loesch, N3FKE, and he's here to talk to us about the Western Pennsylvania D-Star net, and how he's about to run the 500th net. What date is that, Al?
500th.
Yes. What's the date of the 500th?
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, one of my favorite days. Okay, so Al, why don't you tell us how you got into this D-Star net, and what do you do it for?
Well, a lot of guys say it's my net, but I always tell them it's their net. And the only reason why I show up is because they show up. And so far, they've been showing up and keeping me busy.
Very good. And
started the net back in October of 2013 when the Reflector 63 Charlie came live. And we started back then. About the first 11 nets was run by KE3PO down in Greensburg. And then he got a little bit busy and we had to slide things around a little bit. And so I eventually wound up with the net. So I've done all but 11 of them.
Wow.
I had a couple of stand-ins a few times for, I was out for surgery a couple times. And they were nice enough to stand in for me. But I got into D-Star in a weird kind of way. A lot of my friends around here were starting to get into D-Star, and they were always running off to this reflector, that reflector, and nobody knew what they were doing. And so we found out a little bit more about D-Star, and a friend of mine, Mike Maury, it's called K3JP. He's got a wonderful wide area repeater system here in Western Pennsylvania. And he borrowed a radio for me, and I started doing the nets. And it just got really, really enjoyable, to the point where I did very little else. I would run maybe a one net a month on VHF for Mike and the crowd down here. And other than that, I was on D-Star. And it's just grown and grown and grown.
That's amazing. Now, how many check-ins do you typically get?
We started out a lot bigger than we are now, but we're averaging between 12 and 15 check-ins. It's dropped off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that has a lot to do with a lot of people have moved into the different digital areas, like, DMR, stuff like that.
Sure.
Something I call confusion.
We don't mind you calling it that here. Let's see. So then I take it you would be knowledgeable enough when people are trying to check in, things like that. And by the way, this is not limited to just Western Pennsylvania, correct? It's open to anyone that wants to check in anywhere.
Anybody that wants to check in, and we get check-ins from all over,
Okay. All right. So then you guys would be the wealth of knowledge if they're having problems or a programming problem, how to do some of these things, maybe set up some of these hotspots. Is that correct?
We got some pretty smart guys in the group.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of them. But
he's saying that he is the voice of the net people.
But we have quite a few smart guys in the group, and if there's somebody having some trouble with their equipment or programming or something like that, there's always somebody around to help them.
Very good. So I love it. I love to hear about a group that is going to be fun and friendly and helpful. So, and is this limited to a club? Was this a club that started this, or just an area-wide thing?
No, this was just started by the Western Pennsylvania Section D-Star group.
Okay.
And it was meant for Western Pennsylvania users, but everybody can check in. Anybody who's on D-Star can check in.
All right. Well, I want to encourage everyone to join Reflector 063. I hope that's correct. On Valentine's Day.
Hey, Charlie.
063 Charlie. Sorry about that. Valentine's Day at what time?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock Eastern. Okay. Well, Al, thank you for hanging out tonight. I know we had to delay a few times, but I appreciate you joining us, and I hope I've got it in my calendar. It is a busy day for me, but I will see if I can join in just to say hello. So
don't because it's Valentine's Day, and there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to, maybe not make it to the dinner on time.
You're funny. That's a pretty late dinner at 9 p.m. So, all right. Thanks, Al, for joining us. We appreciate it. And we're going to break with you, as we say on the radio, and we're going to move on to Winter Field Day.
Hey, Amanda, in the group,
yes, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'd also like to thank Jeff in through EVN. He's in the chat, and he's been giving out all the information. And thanks, Jeff, for filling in there and getting us on the straight and narrow. So I appreciate that. And he was also he brought this to our attention, and he wanted to make sure we made a shout out. And I said, I'm going to do one better than that. I'm going to have Al on. So it was nice. I had a lovely chat with you until it must have been 1 a.m. your time last night. It was 11 o'clock or so here. So really appreciate the chat. And this man is fantastic.
I never did get to sleep.
And Al's had a year. We've all had a pandemic year, but Al's had a year. And I was really glad to have him on and put a smile on his face. Even though you guys can't see it right now, I know he's smiling from his cowboy hat to his ears. So appreciate you.
Okay, thanks, Amanda.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Bye now.
All right. Winter Field Day. Chat, if you participated, holler out now. I've got a fantastic video. This is a funny story. I was calling CQ. Imagine that I'm talking on the radio like all the time. Sunday afternoon, I think it was. And I run into this operator, Kilo India 5 Oscar Sierra Victor. And we start talking. I'm like, did you do field day? And he's like, yeah, I did it with my club. And we were, he kind of blew me away because I hadn't heard of really big stations. And he's like, we were a 3, whatever the section was. They were outdoors. So probably a 3 Oscar. And he said that they made over 900 contacts. And I was like, wow, you're blowing me away right now. Most people, if I saw posts on their Winter Field Day Facebook page, maybe 100, 200 max. So it's like, you guys must have gone way out, knocked it out of the park. And he's like, yeah, we actually did. And he's like, I'm kind of the I guess the PIO, I would call him. Phil is his name. And he's like, I'm putting together a whole media thing and I'm going to have a video. And I was like, send that to me, brother. I'd love to show it. So he did in a very short amount of time. So we've got about a 5-minute video here to check out a club site out, I think in Texas. So take it away, Josh.
All right.
CQDX. This is Whiskey 5, Sugar Victor. Whiskey 5, Sugar Victor calling CQDX.
I can dig this music too.
Nice video quality too. I'm looking at this. They got a 4K drone, it looks like. That's awesome.
Quite the setup.
Yeah.
And those are the coolest generator covers.
Yeah, those are great.
Wow.
Oh, they're doing satellites too. Man. Oh, wow. 160-meter loop. That's awesome.
Got a chat room comment. W5SSV was loud in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
Bet they were with that setup. Loud in Virginia too, Ben says in the chat.
Yeah,
room.
and they even break out the antenna analyzers. They were
Nice.
hooked up.
Boy, a great ground system.
Look at
Look
that.
at those
Oh,
radials.
DS Commanders. Look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Very pro.
Nice trailer setup. I mean, I don't. W5SSV, comment in the chat. How long did it take you guys to plan this out? Let us know.
Yeah, they were in there earlier too, so hopefully
Yeah,
we
they're
Yeah,
in
they're in
there.
there now.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
37
Yeah, there they are.
radios, yeah.
37 radios.
37, good for them.
Dang, that's a lot of work. 11 foot long. Okay. And they're still working on antennas. Like,
We got more antennas than radios at this point.
wait, I have one question. Where's the food? I can't field day without the food.
Trouble.
Oh, the dogs.
Well, the dogs help me. That's all you need. So it took them a couple of weeks to get all that set up. That's pretty cool.
Right? Right? And making contacts, the most important.
73. QRZ, Whiskey 5, Sugar Victor.
That's the N3 FJP logger.
Yes, the go-to for field day for sure.
Oh yeah. He makes a lot of other loggers as well. A lot of contest logs.
And he's awesome because he gets in there and he actually works these field day contests and everything.
Yeah.
Late shifts. I'd be on the late shifts on the night out.
I love working nights. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
That's living in luxury right there, sleeping
Taking
in
a nap. ZQ, funny. Oh, look at the map.
Wow.
Yeah, they were
Wow.
Yeah, they were worldwide. Look at that. $911 phone contacts. Very cool.
I know. I'm telling you guys, it was just so random that I ran into Phil in the first place. So they worked their heinies off on this.
That's nicely done. Very nice.
That is. Great video.
Yeah.
Great job. Kirk, Chuck, Randy, Mike, all you guys. Great
Look at
job.
that.
Look at the
Look at the
cast of
scroll.
characters
Here we go.
Yeah, there's a ton of. Wow, we'll be here till tomorrow listing all that. That's cool.
A
Good job, guys.
A song so good, I don't know that I'm not going to get demonetized.
Right. And he said his wife made chili, so there you go. That's exactly what
go.
you need.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I should have just had him on, right? W5SSV. Come on, tell us what was the temps that night there. This is kind of fun interacting via chat.
It really is. They're in the chat room, so
Yeah.
that's very cool.
We may have to have them on so they can talk to it.
I think so.
Oh, he wrote it. Okay, good. Well, don't strike me then. Don't give me a content strike for watching your video.
I was like, that was the other thing I was going to talk to you about last night, Josh. I was like, so there's music. Is that a problem? We're good.
Sometimes,
Phil,
but I think we're all right.
Phil did a fantastic job. Phil, again, tell me, was that all your drone footage? Did you work so hard at doing that? Because it was just amazing.
Looks like it said 40 degrees outside, so that's not
40.
too bad.
That's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
I think that's freezing.
No, 32 is freezing. Amanda.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not the literal. Don.
Listen, down here, listen, in New Orleans, it was so funny. My wife worked at an auto parts place when I first met her, and it would get down to 45 degrees, and there would be a run on antifreeze. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you people? So funny.
Do you guys actually use antifreeze? It's just water, right?
Don't really
No,
have
you don't
to.
need it.
But growing up in Oklahoma, where it got really cold, it's like 45 degrees, and people are going to make a run on Preston. I'm like, well, what is wrong with you people?
Gordo and Josh know it too. They break out their Uggs if it gets to 59. I mean,
Oh yeah,
You're right.
Get all wrapped up. Get all
Gordon's
cozy.
like, yeah. He actually has to put pants on.
Yeah. If I've got to put shoes on, we're already in a problem.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. While we're checking on chat, my neck controls put what frequencies you're on. I'm going to go over that. Let's see. Join us on another D-Star net. We have 14 Charlie here for the after show net. And just do a forced choke on Dawn. Oh, I do that all the time, honey. Emil, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want to hug him, but
Oh, you do.
30,
You definitely do. Yeah.
38-13
everybody
for
does.
75.
Yeah, did they drop the net? Where are they going to be?
That okay?
1792.
Yeah, he got a little dyslexic.
7192.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I started saying, wow.
And don't forget DMR on 31012 because the DMR guys would love your support as well. So, boy, the next show is going to be February. I have it in my doc and I don't have it.
16th.
16th.
Mm-hmm.
14 plus 2 is 16.
And we're going to talk about
2 weeks.
This is going to be really. Don, seriously, brother, picking on me. Lawn is coming out. I have a guest coming up. I'm going to be talking with the VOA guys. And if no one knows that there's 3 different outposts of the VOA, and they're having a special event to commemorate their 80th anniversary of the first transmission on air from VOA. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And
very cool.
Yeah, they're working their tails off to make this successful, and I think they're going to all be on for a week. And it was really hard to put. I helped them with their QSL card. It was really hard to put it together because you're depicting 3 different places, and you have this much space, right? So, like, where do we even go from there? So they have the first microphone, the first actual the text from the first transmission, and it's going to be a pretty cool card. So everyone's going to want to work to get that and send in an SASE. So I'm going to have those guys on. It's going to be fun. And whoever else we can round up in there, maybe Natalia, she was a real blast to watch. Boy, the enthusiasm. I just, her look when she was like, oh,
that was cool.
I did it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I want to put in a plug for the VOA Museum over in Westchester, Ohio. If you're going to Dayton this year, or Xenia, whatever it is, make sure you stop in at the VOA Museum down there at the VOA Museum of Broadcasting. Very well worth your time.
And absolutely. And Jocelyn gives great tours.
Yes.
And they also bring it for the Yoda kids were there, and they took them through it. And I think they were all just overwhelmed with how amazing it was. Rich, full of history.
I took my wife there when we went up to Neil Rapp's wedding, and she's not a radio person at all. I mean, but she loved it. So yeah, there's something there for everybody.
I think cool you place. Can time it right. If you do go to Hamvention, they do stay open a little bit later on Sundays.
They do.
So
they do.
Hamvention ends early on Sunday, and so you can run over to the VOA, get that done, and then maybe still make your flight for a later flight if you're flying.
They have special hours.
Come early.
And they'll announce those special hours way in advance, so it's not a problem. Yep.
And Gordo, you got Yuma coming up, right?
Oh, you're muted. We lost Gordo's audio.
Gordo, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh man!
I hate it when that happens.
Orlando coming up next, and then Yuma.
Okay, Orlando. So Josh is headed to Orlando too.
Next week.
We're not. It's okay. I was gonna say the show's not interrupting with your flight schedule or anything, because we could always reschedule if we needed to. But it sounds like you're good to go.
Worked out perfect. Yeah, it's next week, so I'll be out there, and so everybody say hi. I'll be at the ARRL booth a lot, and I'll be doing the what do they call it? Basically, it's the handbook track that they're going to have. I'll be running it. So
great.
I'll be there for that, and then I'll be around the booth. I think I've got a little space that I'll be doing some live streaming, hopefully. But I'll be all over. Just come up and say hi if you see me. So, yeah.
Just don't hug or kiss him or shake his hand or, social distancing still.
I will say big thank you to David Elkins there for the super chat. Appreciate it. And I will...
Yes, thank you, David.
Let me drop just an FYI to everybody. This weekend, Saturday for my live stream, we're going to be building a battery pack. So here's the cells right here and the battery management system, and I do have an expert that will be on with me, so I won't be blowing myself up, but I will be spot welding live. So if you wanna see some fun spot welding live, look at
blow yourself up.
I could blow myself up.
Very well could blow yourself up.
Yeah. So it should be interesting. Oh, my wife just caught the end of that, so she's in the chat. So I didn't
She's
necessarily.
Like, nah.
Yeah.
Josh, I did want to bring this up.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
After that show, when Josh waves at you, it'll be like this.
Yeah.
Finger missing.
Amanda's got her mesh-tastic LoRa device right there with an antenna. You got a nice antenna on that.
My husband is the absolute biggest freaking geek, right? All of a sudden he was like, watch this. And he breaks this sucker out. It's a 915 megahertz.
He's got
perfect antenna for this. He sticks it in our kitchen window, and we're like going to do some errands. He's like, I'm going to see how far this goes. I swear to God, you guys, 3 miles.
Excellent.
And what's the wattage on this, Josh? I don't even know.
It's less than a watt.
Yeah, it's
a quarter of a watt probably.
Mm-hmm. Probably, yeah.
And the other one didn't have this kind of antenna, so he's just like holding it up to the window glass and like hoping it would pick up. Sure as you know what, it did. So that was really cool. He was like stoked.
I'm very deep in my CW stuff that I'm doing right now, but when I get back to doing other videos, we're going to talk about connecting it to an Android tablet running something called CivTac, or TAC as it's called, and they'll all appear on a map. It's kind of like APRS, and they can send messages back and forth to each other. So I was thinking, Amanda, for a lot of your emergency comm stuff and the work you do, you could have one of those with everybody has a little station, and then they can all send information back and forth, and it'd be on a visible map that you could see on a screen. I thought that was like, it's cool.
I wonder if that would work if we could import that. No, I know this could take I'm not going to take a long time, but I'm wondering, could I put it into a SAR topo map so we could send our search and rescue out? We should have fun with that.
That's what I'm saying. You can do different map overlays on the Android, and then you can have the where people are at physically, the little beacons, and then you can fire that off.
Very cool. I like that. That sounds like fun. Oh, Kevin Young is also K7 FPF is going to be at Orlando as well. He wanted everyone to know that. So
cool.
Look forward to. Okay, I got to stop talking. I can't shut up. Smoked my antenna tuner this weekend, you guys. Loading up on 17 meters. PCB board. Oh, the smell. You guys have burned some crap up in your house before, right?
Yeah.
I still smell it sitting right here. So we're on the hunt for an affordable. Not that a high power antenna tuner is affordable, but that's where we're at. So. Okay.
Thanks, N8YO, for the hot tip on the testing the spot welder on beer cans. I have a couple of those. I'll try that out before we go live on Saturday, because I got to get that thing set up appropriately. So, hey, tune in on Saturday. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, check out Ham Radio Crash Course.
Next on Ham Radio Crash Course, Josh blows himself up.
Yeah.
Filmed at 11.
Do you put disclaimers on your show? Like, don't try this.
Don't do what I do. I should just have that auto run in the beginning that I do stupid things sometimes live.
Like a little banner just running across.
That's right.
I should. No. I should do that.
I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
I bought all this stuff off AliExpress. Let's see if I can make it work.
or the site Banggood.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird.
Exactly. Yeah. Good stuff.
Or Wish.
But yeah,
you'd still be waiting on it if it was Wish.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, this is a fun episode. Thanks everybody for catching us up on Quartzfest and Winter Field Day and everything else going on. And we'll be back again after Hamcation. So again, go check out the Icon booth, as was mentioned earlier, and track me down. And all the other YouTubers will be hopping around, having some fun. So yeah, make sure you come say hi.
Very cool.
All right. I guess we'll say 73 to everybody, and have a great rest of your week. Stay warm out there.
Oh, I have one more thing that I just popped into my head. Jumping the gun a little bit, because we're still a month away from opening up for Young Ham of the Year. That the nominations begin March 1st. But as far as we know, the Huntsville Ham Fest is on, and we are going to be there unless something drastic happens like it did last year. So be looking for the nomination form on Amateur Radio Newsline, the arnewsline.org website. It'll go live on March 1st, and that's when nominations will open for Young Ham of the Year. So just wanted to get a little early plug in on that.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. We'll say 73s. See ya.
Good night, everyone.
And thanks to our guests. Appreciate it.
Yep.